pick and roll with it. Make a pick and roll with it. Betting weekly. Fast break from coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown.
Welcome into the latest Betting Weekly Fast Break on this Wednesday. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor and handicapper Chris Macero. Live, another wild game in the NBA playoffs last night, and we will recap that. Also look ahead to today's action with two more playoff games on the docket tonight. Just a reminder, we are every single weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on the Bet Rivers Network and under the Betting Weekly umbrella. We are a brand new show, as is Betting Weekly Hardball, which airs every day, weekday that is, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Chris, I know you're a Celtics fan. You're getting ready for tonight. Very strange situation that no one saw coming when the playoffs began. And how you feeling on this Wednesday with so much uncertainty ahead?
Well, I guess there'll be some Celtics pride early. I anticipate, just the guys picking up the effort. But it comes down to talent in the end in the NBA, and just when you got too many guys injured and too many guys limping around and too many guys who just are not showing up at all for the Celtics. And give Jason Tatum. I've been hard on him through the years, shooting too many threes. But one thing you can't criticize Jason Tatum about is that he's pretty much played 40 minutes every single night for 8 years straight. He never sits out. He doesn't load management. And he was having one of the greatest, games of his career. And it's just sad that it had to end the way it did. And, if you watch that game and you've watched this series, you've seen Jaylen Brown just been fumbling, bumbling, turnover in the ball. And it's just, not ironic or coincidental, but just too bad that Jaylen Brown, of all guys, is fumbling and mumbling the ball. And that's why Tatum had to go reach awkwardly for it. And, it might have happened eventually, because he's got a lot of wear and tear in his body and these guys are going down playing so many minutes. But it was just kind of pissed me off that Brown's fumbling it and Tatum goes for it and he ends up being out for the year. So, and next year. So we'll see what happens tonight. I expect some effort early, but I'm not sure if there's going to be enough effort to get him back to New York.
We see the paraphernalia behind you. We also see the graphic on the screen. Knicks 1 win away. The 670 series favorites to advance and face the Pacers, who won last night. And we've talked about how much Indiana looked like the better team. Pacers take care of business in 5. Crazy endings in a couple of these games. Indiana had to kind of advance to the next round in comeback fashion. That's just so fitting for this series and how things have gone really the entire second round. So India's punched its ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals. 3 other series remain undecided, at least for today. But Pacers and Cavs were neck and neck much of the second half, or at least fourth quarter, that is. Are you, obviously the futures market is still alive and well right now, Chris. Anything intrigue you with this Indiana team to get involved at the current prices, right? So the Pacers right now are 6-1 to win it all, to win the conference. They are plus 110. Anything sort of catch your eye there?
I mean, no one cares that I took the Pacers before, the playoffs started. So I guess I wouldn't add more, obviously, right now at 6-1 to win it, or, they're obviously not going to bet them to win the East. But I think they're a really good team. I mean, Cleveland had, they had to win. They got out to the crazy start. It was 31-19 after one. And then at one point in the second quarter, it was a 19-point lead. And I was just looking at some of the live betting at the times, because I like to come back, on the other side of these games when you have that opportunity. And then, they were minus 820 live. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. They're just going to blow Indiana right off the map. And you figure, well, then Indiana only has one game left. Maybe Cleveland will get back in the series. Fast forward, 10, 20 minutes of game time. And now the Pacers, they had a lead and Donovan Mitchell's walking off the court, and the Pacers were minus 820 on the money line. So as I texted you last night, I'm like, this is just a game of live betting 101, where you could have had both sides at such great plus money or plus points, and you could just sit back and whatever happens, happens. And that's just kind of the story of some of these playoff games. The runs happen. You got to just sit there and take it and go on the other side, and the run's going to come back. And it's almost paid off almost every single game. There's been very few gate to finish winners in this playoffs. It's just been an absolute amazing. I mean, they always say NBA is a game of runs, but these have been some historic runs. But I would not 100%. Be on. I mean, like I said, I can't really give an opinion at the prices right now when I had Indiana in a higher price before. But hey, the Knicks are playing good too. So I mean, this is going to be an awesome series. I'm excited for it. It might not be the rest of the country might not care as much about it, but I think Knicks Pacers is going to be awesome. The Pacers have some exciting players. No one's more exciting than Brunson. You get the two great arenas for basketball. So very exciting series coming up.
Knicks have to get there. Pacers are there. Knicks have to get there. In the Western Conference, huge win for OKC down the stretch. This team is the betting favorite right now in the futures market. I know a lot of sharp guys that think that's the way to go about this. Just bet OKC now that Boston's on the verge of going down and other sort of contenders. But I'd say not so fast. They're minus 139 right now at Bet Rivers. And they had a big fourth quarter yesterday on the heels of a season-saving fourth quarter on Sunday when they were down 2-1 in the series. So here are the current futures of the remaining teams. Obviously, the Cavs got eliminated. So we have 7 teams on the graphic. If you think the Warriors are going to come back and Steph's going to pull a Willis Reed, 250-1 for the Warriors. Nuggets 30-1, which isn't that crazy considering that series is headed back to Denver down 3-2. I would certainly rather bet the Nuggets at 30-1 than the Celtics at 25-1. Let me put it that way. But you have the Knicks and Pacers. Obviously, they'll be underdogs. Whoever advances to the conference or the championship round, the finals, because OKC figures to be there. But Minnesota would be favored as well over either New York or Indy. Anything jumping out for you in a vacuum, Chris?
Again, I guess the value there would be the Pacers for me, just maybe because it's the team that's already through. It's the biggest price, and I just think they're playing really well. They have an NBA championship coach in Carlisle. They have Halliburton, who can do it all at many times. Miles Turner is playing unbelievable. They're just knocking down threes. They play at a different pace than some of these teams. The Celtics and Knicks played a slower pace. The Pacers were ready to push the pace, have good shooters. They have a go-to guy who can get to the hole in the clutch, who's not afraid to get to the hole either. So, that's another aspect. Some of these guys are just, they're timid, and Halliburton is not timid. That's not one word you could use for him. So I would say if I didn't have anything in the mix and I was going to play a team right now, the team that looks the best, has enough parts with a good coach who's already won a championship, I would say Indiana plus 600.
Sorry, I hit my mic. I would agree. The pieces all fit together, right? And I just love that edge that they have. I talked about it yesterday with guys like Matherin, Neesmith, even McConnell. You need sort of those guys willing to muck it up and send a message or just set the tone. And all these pieces fit. I echo what you said with Carlisle. And frankly, their advanced metrics are like the Spurs in 2015 or 16, just how efficient they've been. And really, I think they're shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three. And it's crazy. The last team to do that was those Spurs, those high octane Spurs. So I really like this Indiana team. Obviously, the Knicks are a force to be reckoned with. Brunson's been excellent this entire postseason. So things are shaping up well. Let's get into today's action with the Knicks and Celtics in Boston. So they're coming home for Game 5. And obviously they lost. They're down 3-1. They lost Jason Tatum. Hauser's supposed to come back. He's listed as probable. Porzingis still not 100%. I think the Celtics get the win. I do think they circle the wagons and rally around the just the injury. But, man, they're fragile right now. How are you approaching this game?
Well, I'm looking at a couple of props. I really like Peyton Pritchard. If you go by what he's played so far in this series, Game 1, 24 minutes, Game 2, 22 minutes. Both losses. He had 13 and 9 points respectively. Well, Game 3 rolls around. He plays 35 minutes. He has 23 points, 5 threes, and the Celtics win. For some reason, Missoula doesn't play him that much in Game 4. Only 20 minutes, 12 points. He's playing, for some reason, Horford and Porzingis together on the floor. They played 14 minutes. They had a net defensive rating of 140. This is all-star game level defense with these two guys in there. And for some reason, he's not playing Pritchard, who the Knicks they have a tough time guarding him. And, he's just a quick guard. He's getting that good separation on the 3-point line. He has range for days. And I'm not sure why Mazzulla hasn't played him more. So I'm looking at Peyton Pritchard. And if you go into the matrix a little bit and you look at the 11 games that Peyton Pritchard played when Jason Tatum was not on the court, he averaged 20.8 points a game. He had some monster games in there, 38 points, 31 points, 27 points. That game where he had the 43, he had a 34-point game. And if you want to look at Pritchard, 15 points or more, it's like an even money bet. You can find 13.5, 14.5. You want to lay some extra juice. You can bet over 3+ threes at -118 at Caesars. I've seen that moving a little bit over the last couple hours. You can lay extra juice at 2.5. But if the Celtics have any shot at winning tonight, Peyton Pritchard has to go over these totals. And I'm going to also play, I just played a little while ago, PRA 20.5 over. I laid 130. I mean, there's been some monster games where he's had rebounds and assists and points that totaled in the 40s, 45, 59, 58, 48. I mean, this guy is capable of lighting it up. And I really think if the Celtics have any shot, Mazzulla's got to play him at least 35 minutes. And he's going to be getting a lot of opportunities because the other guys are either Brown looks like he's hurt. Drew Holiday looks like he's, on the way out of the NBA. He looked so bad the other night. And, Al Horford's old. Porzingis is the sickness. We're not sure what's going on with him. Somebody's going to score. So I just think these Pritchard props look good. And if you're an alt guy, you want to throw, a few shekels at it, you can go 20 points or more plus 210. 25 is plus 500. Want to get crazy, over 30 or over 35 and over 35, you're getting 12 to 1, 35 to 1. I mean, the guy's done it this year. He's had 34, 38, 31, and 43. So it could happen. If you want to take a little shot on the alt prop points market, I wouldn't blame you.
That's affectionately known as laddering. I think you want to get nuts. That's how you get nuts. The high variance situation. And that's where it's most sort of the feast or famine, or not even feast or famine. It's just the upside is there for Pritchard, and it's not just the shooting the three. So I believe you also like his threes over, right? 3+ 3-pointers.
Yeah, correct. You can get 3+, various amounts of juice all over the market. So shop around, get the best number. I was actually able to find a 2.5. I laid -150 there, but I definitely think he gets 3 threes. And if I'd be happy with a win instead of a push. But yeah, you can find different markets where I like Pritchard over 3 threes, and you can extend it out. The thing is where they kind of he's at 5 threes, he's only plus like 125. You're not giving you that much juice on it because that's his only shots. Like he's not going into the lane often. So most of his points are going to come from 3-pointers. So I kind of like the points, and I really do like the points, rebounds, assists, because when Tatum hasn't played, he's had some big games on the rebounding and the assist and points altogether. So I like all 3 of those bets over his points, over his threes, and over points, rebounds, and assists.
All right. So at Bet Rivers right now, over 2.5 made threes for Pritchard is -143. So the juice has come down a little bit. I like the points over 14.5. That's my only play in terms of these props. I think there's edge there. And he does, when the more minutes are played, he does find his way to the rim and sort of shield the ball with his backside and then get some layups. And he's very good at creating those angles when guarded by another guard. So he will generate points that way, especially if Tatum's out of the game and things like that. So I want to go back to the point spread just because this team, Boston, has dominated the first part of games, first quarters and first halves. Obviously, Tatum not being there changes everything. And sometimes they try to get Mitchell Robinson out of the game for the Knicks. How are you seeing at least the start of this game? Is there any opinion or lean on Boston, whether it's the game line, the total, the first half, first quarter?
I definitely like the Celtics in the first quarter. I really feel like there's going to be some Celtics pride tonight. The crowd's going to be the crowd, I think, on the Boston end has been kind of lacking. The MSG crowd has totally been dominant over the Boston crowd. But I think tonight, due to the fact Tatum's out, they're going to be a little extra juice just to show that Celtics pride. I really like the Celtics in the first quarter, -2.5. I wouldn't be opposed to laying the money line. I'd hate to win just by 2, even though it is a little pricey, -180, -185. But I'm going to be on that side. But I don't think the Celtics I would not lay the game price and I would not lay the game money line because I just have a feeling that this team is kind of out of gas. The Al Horford factor, when he only has 1 day's rest, his stats are just totally fall off the map. They're half of what he usually gets if he has 2 days or more rest. And you're just not sure what we're going to get with Porzingis. Do you have any faith that Drew Holiday is going to be come in for a big game? I just don't know. And the way Jaylen Brown has been playing around with the ball, I just don't feel too confident that one of these guys is going to have a big game. That's kind of why I like the Pritchard prop so much. But I do like the energy in the first quarter. I'm going to be on Celtics -2.5. I'll probably add a little bit of money line. But if I was going to bet the game, I would tend to lean toward the Knicks plus the 5. Because I just think that at the end of the day, this Celtics team, with all the injuries and kind of the age of Horford, I'm just not sure they're going to be able to hang on. They've been doing it first quarter, first half, the whole playoffs, and they tend to fade off in the second half. I could see that happening again.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, there's the old adage, Chris, about how the closeout game is the toughest one. And I do think New York's going to be tight to a certain extent, but they finally started playing well. Brunson, and those guys down the stretch and executed so effectively. And they did that in the overtime game as well. But I do think the Celtics are the right side, whether it be the first quarter. I'm not in a rush to lay it, but that's how I see this game unfolding. I'm going to be looking at some live wagering when the Celtics maybe get up 8 or 9 points. I think there's an opportunity with Brown props, whether it be rebounds to pick up the slack from Tatum's absence or the points. Like, I think he's going to have a monster game for this team to pull it out, because you're right. He's not surrounded by the usual suspects, even without Tatum. It's Porzingis is under the weather and what's going on with the virus. Holiday hasn't looked the same. The Horford, the back-to-back, the no rest situation. So there's a lot of concern here for Boston. You just wonder if it's a wounded animal and the Knicks are going to go for the kill.
Yeah, I would say on the flip side, I mean, if the Celtics don't get off to a really hot start, what's going to happen in their mind? Do they really want to go back to New York to get blown out at MSG when they don't have their full complement of guys? I could see that setting in too. That's why I definitely think they have to get off to a hot start. And, that's why I like the first quarter. But I just don't feel confident that they're going to hang in there. And we've seen it all playoffs. That's been their MO. Get up to that big lead. And you definitely, like your point said, you've got to look in play with the Knicks, because the Knicks are one of those teams that always makes a run. And the Celtics are one of those teams that always gives up a run. And that's not just this year. That's going back this year, last year, 2023, 2022. This is the team that blows the most big leads that anyone's ever seen in the NBA, especially a high-quality team like the Celtics. That's just what they do. It's their MO. And we saw it in game 4. So I don't see any reason why there's going to be any difference. One thing you mentioned with the rebounds, I did do a little research on the games where Tatum didn't play. Horford did average 7 rebounds a game. So if you can find a rebound prop of Horford, over 6.5 or 7+, maybe that's something you look at, because someone's going to have to get the rebounds. And Porzingis wants nothing to do with rebounding, as we've seen all series. So I think the Horford over rebounds might be an angle. I kind of like him under points because he just doesn't have the energy to get down low and score, but someone's going to get some of those rebounds.
Yeah, I worry that you're right, the track record and of Tatum being out and what happens, but it's not Horford in those games. He's flat now, right? He's a very different situation. He's zapped with energy. So I do like Jaylen Brown rebounds plus money, things like that at 7.5 as well. But it's certainly an intriguing game from a handicapping standpoint, just given all these giant variables. We want you to get involved in the conversation. Let us know. We're on the YouTube comment section, so please let us know your thoughts, and also sign up for the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com for weekly betting tips and the entire newsletter. A lot of good information there. Obviously, tons of shows here under the Betting Weekly umbrella with Nigel and the guys. You got the dojo, soccer, tennis, everything. And we launched also a baseball show, Betting Weekly Hardball, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Chris is going to be on that show on Friday, I believe. So a lot of good analysis with a rotation of excellent guests. Let's go to the other series that's 3-1. This time, the home team's favored by double digits, with the T-Wolves looking to close out the Golden State Warriors, who are also undermanned. Curry's been out since game 1. And monster performance in the second half by Minnesota in game 4. And so now they're on the verge of returning to the Western Conference Finals into the second straight year. T-Wolves now 10.5-point favorites at Bet Rivers. Over-under's gone up a little bit, 202.5. We finally saw Golden State get some offense. I have no opinion on this game. I can't bring myself to fire on anything. I do agree with the movement on the under. It's gone from 204 to 202.5. I lean under. So I guess, Chris, my first question is, look, it's 3-1, no Curry, T-Wolves at home. How on earth do we expect the Warriors to show up at all, just knowing that their season's just a matter of time for it to be over?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm leaning under. When I sent in the picks earlier, I bet it right away when it came out at 204. I bet under Golden State team total 96.5. I think that's ticked down a little bit since yesterday. See, listen, the last game was very deceiving. Minnesota shot the lights out. They shot 47% from three. I don't anticipate that continuing. They're 34% from three in the playoffs, 37% from three for the year. So they just kind of caught fire. No one is shooting the ball at all for Golden State. But the last 3 minutes of the first half in Game 4, there was just a flurry of three-pointers. I think there was 18 or 19 points scored in the final 2 minutes and 55 seconds. The same thing happened in the final 3 minutes of the game. Steve Kerr was pulling a college basketball postseason tournament foul on every possession just to play the game out like the kids were never going to be able to play basketball again. It was kind of absurd. The last 2 minutes of the game took about 30 minutes. He's laughing on the bench. He challenged 2 calls in the last 2 minutes when they were down by 20. So that last 2 minutes and 55 seconds, they scored another 18 points. So there was like 2 stretches of 3 minutes where almost 40 points were scored. So I think that total is a little deceiving. I think this game is going to be a slowdown. I don't see much effort. Maybe some big time effort in the first quarter by Golden State, but I don't see them going a full 48 minutes. With what's going to be happening, Minnesota is going to have the home court going nuts, advancing to the next round. I can see them kind of shutting it down a little bit early. Maybe we get the Draymond gets kicked out game too. He hasn't been thrown out of a game. So I can see him having a little bit of an outburst, getting distracted. He just gets frustrated, realizes the season's over, and this is kind of the end of the road for them. I mean, that with the way the West is so stacked, I can't see them, with Curry making much of a run with the age of the 3 stars that they have. So I can just see this being a slower paced game. The shooting not as hot for Minnesota. No one's shooting the ball well for Golden State, and I'm going to be on the under team total of Golden State in this game.
What do you make of Minnesota maybe being a little tight in the closeout game? They were against the Lakers when they were up 3-1. That was the Gobert Monster 2020 game. Golden State's defense has been decent, all things considered. It's just when the T-Wolves flip that switch and just don't miss and go through an ant just attacks. But for the most part, they've held the Timberwolves offense in check. And Draymond is a fiery guy. I do think, I think Trace Jackson Davis is going to start. Not exactly an over-minded guy. He plays decent defense, rebounds, and doesn't score much. So that's good for unders. I'm warming up to the under here because I do think the T-Wolves, unless they go lights out, they're an under team as well here.
Yeah, Minnesota is a really good defensive team too. I feel like that 3-pointer at the end of the first half in Game 4 that Ant hit, a real deep one with no time left, and he got so fired up. I think that was the moment where they're like, you know what, we're just going to take care of business in the second half. We're not going to let them hang around. It was a weird line at halftime too. They were down 2, and they weren't that big of favorites to win the game. And they just put the pedal to the metal. And I just feel like that 3. And just the excitement that Ant finally, he got through that first half of that game. The scare they had in Game 3. I think this could have potential to be a blowout type of game where it's 108 to like 87 or something like that. But I don't fear Golden State at all. And I think Ant gets the job done in front of the home crowd. I don't think they're going to be nervous at all. They kind of have that. They get the bravados of some of the guys on this team. Plus, they have the 3-1 lead. What's there to be nervous about? Just close it out on your home court before Curry has any chance to come back and move on to the next series.
All right. So, any official plays here, whether it's under or team total or anything like that?
2 official plays. I'm under in the game. I played it at 204. I still kind of like it at 202.5, but I played it at 204. I played under Golden State at 96.5. I still like that. I don't see Golden State having a big scoring effort. I feel like the games are going to be more like game 1 and 2. Well, not for Minnesota offensively, but for Golden State, more like 1, 2, and 3 than it was in game 4. I don't see Golden State having a big effort. So those are my 2 official plays on this game: under in the game and under Golden State team total.
Okay. And for props, I think this is just a tough read. One thing that's been pretty consistent throughout this series, although not so much in the last game, was Julius Randle delivering. And they run the offense a lot through him, and he's ball dominant, so to speak. So I think in game 2, which this game is shaping up to potential, it was a large spread, potential blowout. He was plus 650 to be the game's leading scorer. There's reports that maybe Jimmy Butler's fighting an illness. Buddy Hield really hasn't exploded in this series. There's some potential for Randall for the leading scorer, although obviously Ant, for obvious reasons, is the favorite. Or just some over-unders like we talked about in the Celtics game. Anything here in terms of props, anything like that catches your eye? Because I got nothing.
I like Randall as a player, except the fact that his awareness level is just so low. He the shot clock violations, the lane violations, just he's a good player. He's got good moves. He's got a big body. He's not afraid to go up against the biggest guys in the league. He's not afraid of the LeBrons of the world. But I couldn't bet that. I know he could have a big game, but the guy kind of drives you a little bit nuts. For all the talent he has, his awareness level on the court just is a little lacking, to say the least. I mean, to have that many, he's always almost getting a shot clock violation. Either he's getting it or it's on the tip of his finger and it goes in. But I don't know what is the Ant leading scorer prize? It's like even money or something.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things just because there's Butler is a factor as well. Because then some of the other guys are with it have a shot. So Ant to lead the game is plus 120, I think it is, and then Butler's plus $185, and then it drops to others.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to playing a bigger bet on Ant and then a side bet on Randall. I'm not worried about Butler. Last game, he was a minus 30. He gave his A game in game 3. That was it for him. I don't anticipate at his age coming back on the road, having a big game. It was kind of shocking going through the stat line that he was a minus 30 last game. That was very shocking to me in a game that was only a 7-point game. Granted, a lot of garbage time at the end, but like I said earlier, the guys are just older. This Golden State team is, it's the last dance for them. They're just, I'm not sure if they're going to be back the same group. Is Draymond coming back? I don't anticipate much out of those guys. So if I was going to play this, which I'm not going to play, I would do a bigger bet on Ant to be leading scorer and maybe a smaller unit bet on Randall, to your point, because he has been a really solid player in this series.
Our friends at Bet Rivers stats department, Dante DiVincenzo, in his last 22 home games, has gone over 1.5 in 20 of them. So finds a shooting touch at home. That's minus 180. So Dante, I had a same game parlay the other day that had DiVincenzo 2+ threes and ended up hitting. It was Naz Reid as well at 2+ threes. I could see that being a good leg for a same game parlay, something along those lines. My issue, and the reason I'm having such difficulty with the props in this game, is that Kuminga, I don't know what I'm getting with him. I mean, he has the widest range of production. He's been great and was great at home in game 3, but the problem is he had the mental errors, and defensively in game 4, Kerr pulled him and went with other guys. And so you just don't know which side of the bed he's going to wake up on, and whether that be Kuminga or even Kerr, and how his threshold for tolerance. I mean, he needs the offense. He needs the athleticism to battle with his T-Wolves, but he has so many defensive lapses, and it is frustrating for Kerr. So because of the wild card or X factor that is Kuminga, I just don't know how to approach some of these props.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, Kuminga had 30 in game 3 and 20. Even though he got pulled last game, he still had 23 points. So pretty shocking stats for a guy who was buried on the bench the last 2 weeks of the regular season. So yeah, who knows? Maybe Kuminga's the leading scorer. I doubt it, though. I have a feeling that Kerr was playing those games with the timeouts in game 4 because he knew that was the last time the team was coming back home. And I just feel that, if this game gets up early, it's just going to be a wrap. If they get up like they did the other day, up by 13 points in game 2, or up by, it was 17-4, and I just don't see Golden State fighting back. What are they fighting back for? If they probably know deep down that Curry's not coming back, whether they win game 5 or not. I think this is it. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game with Minnesota probably covering the spread. I'm not going to lay the big number, but Minnesota is probably going to win this game going away in a low-scoring game.
Kind of agree. Can I interest you in the index for the most threes in the game, whether it be DiVincenzo or Naz Reid, 16-1? Can I interest you in any of that?
You know what, DiVincenzo, he's going to be getting a lot of open looks because he was. I know you hit your prop over, but he had some wide open threes were very ugly. A couple air balls, but he's getting the shots. If he can heat up, it's like one of those things. If the guy's feeling good and he sees one go in early, yeah, he's the type of guy. I mean, you saw what he did in New York last year. Some of these games where he just lit it up 6 threes in a row. He could definitely do it, and that's if you're getting big odds. I could be interested in a. You give me anything double digits on a fun prop like that, I could definitely be interested. Why not?
So yeah, Dante 6-1, Naz Reid 16-1. So something to keep in mind. And again, if it gets to blowout situation, Reid and some of these other guys could get going and heat up, and maybe even one of the Warriors bench players. You never know. But perhaps it's Draymond, 25-1. Remember, he started 4 of 5 in game 1, I believe. So you never know. These index backs are great. Josh Hart in game 2 or 3 was 100-1 to lead that Knicks-Celtics game in points, and he got there. So this stuff does actually cash more than you think.
I would rather go 35-plus points on Peyton Pritchard tonight than anything Draymond Green related for three-point shooting.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've recapped some of this. I just want to remind everyone to get involved in the conversation on our YouTube channel with the messages and comments. It's a brand new show, Betting Weekly Fast Break, every single weekday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and also Betting Weekly Hardball, new baseball show, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And another reminder, we want to make sure you sign up for the newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com for weekly betting tips and the entire newsletter. And we have a lot of good angles here and opportunities. Pritchard, I agree. Like, just to recap some of our best bets, I think we're both seeing it similarly. I'm on Pritchard over 14.5 points. I'm going to play it straight. I can certainly support the laddering of it because I do think the opportunity is there, and he's going to bring it in the crowd. Everything's going to sort of rally everyone. I'm leaning under in that game as well. Do you have any opinion on the total? I know you said the Celtics may run out of steam. I just think the offensive sort of sharpness and efficiency is just going to be lacking when Holiday's not all there. Porzingis isn't all there. And obviously Horford, we talked about. I mean, we might see Keita play quite a bit. I just don't know. And Jaylen Brown's trying to dribble everywhere. I just don't know how many points Boston's going to be able to generate in the second half after that maybe initial surge from the crowd. I think it's a high number, and maybe New York sort of bleeds the clock in the second half.
I couldn't agree more. And I've been betting against the, when the Celtics lose the next game, the opponent's team total under has been 19-5 this year. I have not bet that yet, just due to the fact that Tatum is one of their best defensive players, and he's not going to be there. So it's a little bit different scenario. But if you look at it, though, you got to figure the Celtics are going to give maximum effort in the first half, and the crowd's going to be into it. And hopefully, for the Celtics' sake, they hold the Knicks to say in the 40s. And if you're in the 40s, then you're looking really good for this under because, to your point, the Celtics seem to fall apart in the second half. They just don't have the same energy. They don't have the players. They're not going to have the efficient offense without Tatum, the ball going through him. So I would lean. I said to somebody yesterday, they're asking me my opinion. Do you want to lay the money line? Who do you like, the Celtics? And I said, listen, I would like the Celtics big time if without Tatum, if everyone else was healthy. And I just don't feel confident that these guys are healthy, no matter what it is, whether it's Jaylen Brown's knee or Porzingis with the virus or whatever is wrong with Drew Holiday. I'm just not confident that this team is all feeling good. And it's not just one guy, it's the whole team. I mean, Hauser has the ankle. Al Horford, just, father time. There's just not one guy who you could say, maybe Derek White is the one guy right now that's healthy and playing up to his standard. Everyone else has been subpar. So the Celtics are going to give a good defensive effort because that's probably the only chance they have to stay in the game or stay in the series. And I feel like that probably will tail off in the second half. So you could definitely convince me on an under. I'm not sure if I'm going to get there with that Knicks team total under. as it's been such a good streak. But obviously that's been with Tatum. Tatum's been in all the games after the Celtics have lost. So a little bit different scenario, but I tend to lean under as well.
Yeah, that's a good teaching moment for those kind of new. When you have these sort of trends from the regular season, they don't always translate to the postseason. Obviously, this is a much different situation, given they are one loss away from elimination, given that they are not fully healthy and things like that throughout the course of the regular season. I touched on it with Horford. It's not as simple as, oh, Tatum's out, Horford's going to get more rebounds. He's also running on fumes, playing every other night. So it's a very different situation here. And I think we have to kind of just acknowledge that and sort of take and just concede that there's a leap of faith involved here. And we really can throw out some of the trends and past performance and not being as predictive given how unusual of a situation this is. And that goes for the Golden State game too, because they're facing elimination. No Curry. It's not game 47 when Curry's resting and they're in Charlotte or something like that. It's just a much different situation. And some of these teams, some of these players may have one foot out the door. You know, there's going around the internet is what Max Strus was texting his guys and what Tyler Hero said. We're not going out 0-4, but neither of them could hit a shot in that next game. So you can want it all you want. You can say all the right things, but execution is not necessarily there because you know what? The other team's trying to win as well.
Oh, it's a great point. I like that you brought up the regular season and all these stats and all these, I'm not a stat geek. I'm not the big analytics guy, and I'm sick and tired of hearing about net rating because net rating, in my opinion, is a bunch of baloney. Who cares if you beat Charlotte by 50 points and SGA had 48 in that game? That doesn't mean anything to me. Oh yeah, that means that's going to increase their net rating. If you look at OKC, and I'm just kind of complaining because I have them in the future market and I really wanted to get to the finals, but if you look at this team versus the elite playoff teams, they're basically a 500 team. Yeah, they beat Boston twice, but they lost to Cleveland. They lost to Denver twice. They've lost to Denver twice in this series. They lost to Dallas. They lost to San Antonio. Lost to Minnesota. They lost to all the good teams that are still left. Lost to the Lakers. They're not one of those teams that are just, oh, this is the greatest team ever. Like it's 86 Celtics or it's the 90 Bulls or one of these teams where it was almost like a guarantee when they stepped on the court, they were going to win or they were going to beat you 4 out of 5. And I just feel like they keep saying, well, OKC has the greatest net rating, the greatest point differential, and the greatest this and that. It's a little bit more when you come to the playoff time and some of these other teams have experience and you have a guy like Joker who's not afraid. And like I said last week on the show, when I spoke to Paul Bovey about it, when he said, hey, I think OKC is going to win the series, but don't let it get to game 7 because there's one guy on that court who's not afraid of the moment, and we know who that is. And I can't believe he wasn't double-teamed last night, and he had 45 points and 15 rebounds when the rest of the team shot 8 for 39 from 3, and it just blows my mind that some of the stuff OKC is doing, allowing this guy to even touch the ball. You should have 2 guys on him the whole game. Let Westbrook shoot. Let Westbrook drive to the hoop. He might still miss the layup. And it's just some of that stuff just drives me nuts. So we'll see what happens. It's a lot of excitement, but to your point, yeah, some of these stats, you can't just blindly bet based on some net rating stat that happened, in the regular season. It's a whole new ball game come the playoff time.
Yeah, there's definitely another gear in the playoffs. Actually, another couple gears and it's experience. OKC's the youngest team in the postseason. What was that stat that Auburn was older? Their average age or something like that was older. So yeah, I mean, when the pressure mounts and that's why getting 10 points, 10.5 was so ridiculous the more I think about it. But you mentioned Paul Bovey, a mutual friend, who's a professional bettor. So these are all the conversations we're having in off days and things like that. Another conversation I'm hearing is Minnesota money line. I mean, I agree. Like, I do not see Golden State going in there and winning. I just don't. So is there a parlay piece you can put Minnesota? Like, I don't trust OKC tomorrow on the road. I don't trust the Celtics at home tonight. I would parlay the teams that are both up 3-1 tonight. I'd go T-Wolves money line with the Knicks. If you like the Knicks money line, put the T-Wolves money line on there. Give you a little boost, something along those lines. I know it's not reckless, but it's ill-advised sometimes. But I do think there's value on the T-Wolves money line at -500 right now on Bet Rivers. Like, I really do.
I agree with you. It's a free plus 25%, 20% boost. Last night I played Cavs money line. I played a little small parlay, just a sort of a hedge, not really a hedge, but I played Cleveland first half money line with, as you mentioned, the Nuggets plus 10.5. and it's rolling into tonight, Minnesota money line with under in the game. And I just, those are the sides I like anyways. And yeah, you throw in the money line on the Cleveland, you figure Cleveland was going to come out hot. They did. They almost didn't cover the first half, but they came out hot. And then Minnesota, you figure they're going to take care of business. It's just an extra boost you can put into a parlay to get an extra 20%, 25% on your bet, even though it's a huge number, like you mentioned, minus 500. I couldn't agree more.
So on the screen, the Celtics money line with the T-Wolves. So you take the Celtics as minus $2, and if you add the T-Wolves, it goes to minus 127. Okay, so it goes from $2 to minus 127. If you like the Knicks, like I kind of do, you take the Knicks plus 165, you add Minnesota, and it's plus 218. So that's quite the boost. So it really is a boost. Now, of course, the T-Wolves have to win, and they are, they lost game one and stuff. But this is a team that is far better and has it. They've taken out a leg. Now they just got to lean on the chair, so to speak. So I think the T-Wolves, and you can add them to a baseball game if you like a baseball play at night. I wouldn't advise the Dodgers. I know, Chris, you've been betting Oakland against them, but there are ways to do it. You can fade the Rockies, right? Add the T-Wolves in there. But I do think because I would bet minus $5 on the T-Wolves money line. I think it's a 2.5 hour sweat, but I do think there's value. So adding even a value money line onto anything is actually advised. It's not ill-advised if you think the money line is cheap. Look, if they go up 10-4 timeout, like minus 500 is going to be minus 600, something like that.
Oh, I totally agree. And if someone like me who feels like the Celtics are going to come out hot tonight, but really don't think they're going to blow the Knicks away or maybe not even win the game, you could do something like this. You could bet the Celtics first quarter money line with the Timberwolves money line, and then you could come back in the same bet, take the Knicks +5 with the T-Wolves money line. You could win both bets. Obviously you could lose both bets. This is called gambling. That's what we do. But you just have to make an educated decision on the way the games have been playing. The Celtics are a first quarter, first half team, older team that's going to fade at the end. Why not get the value first quarter or first half money line and add a little boost with Minnesota, who's probably going to close it out tonight? And if you're not that comfortable that the Celtics are going to hang on the whole way, hey, you can throw in the Knicks plus the 5 with the T-Wolves money line as well, or maybe even see at halftime what the score is, because the Celtics have had these leads at halftime and they just aren't able to hold them. And that's been with Tatum, not without him.
That's a good point. Earlier, you said you lean Celtics minus 2.5 plus 100. But if you just wanted to do the money line and then add the T-Wolves money line for the game, it's minus 121. So it takes a minus 190 Celtics first quarter money line down to minus 121 by adding Minnesota. I think that's the best play. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for one of my plays. So we'll make that an official play, a little parlay. Celtics first quarter. And it's a two-way line, so you can push. Obviously, it's not a game money line where there's no ties in basketball, but you can push on that. And you can add the T-Wolves money line. It's now minus 121. So I'm a fan of that. And the only other play as we recap the show and go through our best bets is going to have Pritchard over 14.5 points, which we discussed. Chris, your official plays for today, I have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pritchard as well, 15-plus points, under 202.5 in the Warriors game, and then Golden State team total under 96.5.
Yeah, that's correct. Like I said, I bet it at 204 on the under. I'm also going to play Pritchard, the points, rebound, assists, 20.5 minus 130, and I also played over 2.5, and I laid minus 150. You said you can get it at minus 144. Bet Rivers on 3-pointers made, 2.5 Pritchard over.
Okay, 143. All right, good stuff. All right, my man, great stuff as always. We appreciate your insight, and we're going to see you on Friday on the baseball show, Betting Weekly Hardball. We're going to look ahead to that day in the diamond, also look ahead to the weekend, as well as the baseball. It's almost fully baseball season, the basketball schedule winding down, and we are almost at the conference finals. Chris, appreciate the insight. I know you were traveling in hotels and things like that. It's nice to see the paraphernalia behind you. And I got to ask, you got the Boston flavor. We know you're a Boston native. What's Trout doing on the wall?
Well, I was at spring training about 10 years ago, and I was walking by. The Giants always have a bunch of stuff out front of their Scottsdale Stadium for sale, silent auction. And I texted my friend and go, hey, how much is a Mike Trout autographed with the and it had the MVP. He signed it MVP. That the year he was the MVP. So he just did a little Google search, and it was like 3 times more than what they were, what the highest bid was. So I just swooped right in and snagged it. He's fallen on some rough times, but still one of the best players of the generation. Oh, he's never really done anything wrong. He seems like a pretty solid family guy. So we threw the bid in on the Trout. We got it. We got it framed up in the office. So yeah, it looks a nice, colorful piece.
Yeah. So that's on the wall. You got a lot of balls signed behind you. I have a few here in my bookshelf, more on that bookshelf. I got the old Jerry Tarkanian and Floyd Mayweather boxing glove, and got some other things as well that maybe we'll discuss at another show. But great stuff, Chris. Really appreciate the insight. Again, Betting Weekly Fast Break every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, and also Betting Weekly Hardball, which Chris will join us on Friday to break down the baseball card. That is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. For everyone behind the scenes, all the producers and all the people that make the magic happen here on Betting Weekly Fast Break and the entire Bet Rivers Network. And for Chris Macero, I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here tomorrow.